Others say that he has as many as 10 unfinished novels on there.
Damn.
They were
Prince catalog.
the hard drive containing all those was run over by a steamroller at the Great Dorset Steam Fair.
What?
Pratchett wanted his unfinished work to die with him, and it did.
Wait. What?
Welcome to Waywut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday, and then on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram. We appreciate you joining us. Now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here. Hello, and welcome once again to another episode of Waywut. My name is Darrell, and I am the guy holding the reins today. And here I am with the guy that can wrap up anything except his wiener, and he has the kids to prove it. Jason.
I just get in the way.
What's so funny is I remember when I visited you at your dorm room when you were going to Southwest, and they had the big board that said, if you're going to get spunky, wrap your monkey. And then here you are with 6 kids.
Anyways. All mine.
I'm the paterfamilias.
They're not all mine.
It messes up the story when you say that.
I mean, they are mine, but they're not blood.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Considering that only one of mine's biological, I get it. All right. So today I'm going to start things off with a TV show rant.
Oh, yeah, man. Lay it on me.
I was a huge TV watcher way before streaming. Because that's just what I was. It was the 80s. You know, you plant your ass in front of the TV, you sit there. I scheduled everything around it. I knew when my right cartoons were on, when the right sitcoms were on. I was there. And then when streaming hit, I kind of started falling off a bit. But then COVID happened. And so then you have nothing to do. So I was by myself at the time. And I just sat at home for hours on end watching TV. And it was like everything in my childhood trained me for that moment.
You were prepared.
I was made for this, bro.
I was able to just sit inside and watch TV. But now, back in the now times, I'm back to the way I was, where I don't really watch a lot of TV. And some of it has to do with TV has burned me way too much to the point where I'm afraid to invest time in it.
Yes.
I mean, now granted, some of it is quality. I mean, TV shows are not as good as they used to be.
Hell no, they're not.
Hollywood has thrown writing right out the window and now just seem to assemble movies and TV shows with marketing equations and input from social media managers. They just try to create these clippable moments, and they want to be able to jump on whatever trend the snowflake virtue signaling terminally online nutbags are screaming about at that particular moment.
This is true.
Now, I won't say that every show's like that, because we are starting to see signs that is subsiding. Because like A Night of the Seven Kingdoms was awesome.
Hell yeah, it was.
Love that show.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, the new season of the live action One Piece, I liked that a lot too. I thought that was really good. I felt Night of the Seven Kingdoms was probably the best show this year, and it's going to take something pretty significant to dethrone that.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
The other thing that was even happening before streaming is, and what the bulk of my rant is about, is Hollywood has a tendency to cancel shows that I like before the story is finished.
Absolutely. Oh, yes, it's so frustrating.
My Name Is Earl, Carnivàle, and Mindhunter were all amazing shows that did not get to finish their story.
Mindhunter is a great one.
I would include Dead Like Me and Firefly, but they both got movies that tried to end their story. Serenity did that pretty good for Firefly, but the Dead Like Me movie didn't do that good of a job. But I get mad when I think about that. But because of things like that, I'm gun shy now. I don't want to invest time and interest in something that's just going to go away.
Yeah.
I don't like getting blue balls. I didn't like it as a teenager, and I don't like it now.
Can you imagine if they canceled Game of Thrones after season 3 or 4 or whatever?
Wish they would have. I'll get to that. Nowadays, what I'll do is I will wait for a show to have its run, and then I'll watch it. If I remember that it exists. Because I have things like Better Call Saul that I keep telling myself, I'll get to it. And I still haven't.
But it also gives it time to age properly so you know if you're going to like it or not.
Yeah. Now, I get the irony of what I'm doing. I don't watch something in case it gets canceled, but if people don't watch it, then it will be canceled. But I stand by my choice. It is a risk I am willing to take.
If it's good enough to air, then it's not going to cancel. So,
well, not exactly, because sometimes they will hit you with a badass first season, like Lost did, or House of the Dragons. Stranger Things had a great first season. Game of Thrones had a good 3 or 4 seasons. Or, from what I hear, Dexter, I'm going to watch it eventually. My wife is driving me nuts about it.
It's good. It's good.
But then they have like these significant drops in quality in the later seasons or right there at the end. Now, the reason I'm even thinking about this is because for the first time in a long time, I got tempted and I threw out my rule. And I did that with The Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Because I kept hearing this is like so freaking awesome. I was just like, oh God, it is. But the thing that kind of makes it worse is that it takes place in the Game of Thrones universe for Game of Thrones, for you people that haven't watched it. The first season that we just watched was based on a novella called The Hedge Knight that was written by George R.R. Martin. He has 2 more novellas, so they have enough for 2 more seasons. But old Georgie boy says that he has a couple of more novellas in the works that are just about Dunk and Egg, the characters from Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And that is where the problem lies. George R.R. Martin doesn't finish fucking anything.
And he's 865 years old.
The last book in the series of A Song of Ice and Fire was A Dance with Dragons, and it came out in 2011. He says there are 2 more books that are supposed to be in this series. Winds of Winter and Songs of Spring, something like that. And this obese man in his late 70s won't finish his fucking book series. He's running out of time to procrastinate.
Hanging around the house, just being lazy, and that's what
his procrastination already ruined the Game of Thrones TV show. It got all screwed to hell because once they started having to kind of not have the books right there telling them what to do, they just went off and it's fucking terrible. If he hasn't finished the core series, the Song of Ice and Fire, how can I trust him to finish the add-ons, which are about Dunk and Egg? I don't regret watching A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I did love that show. I just resent the dread I feel about the very likely possibility of getting blue-balled. I really hate blue balls. It's one thing when heartless executives kill a good show, but George R.R. Martin is a creative. He's a creator. He is supposed to be better than that, and he's so much worse.
Oh, he's swimming in that money.
Well, it's one of those things. I'm not saying this in hopes that he will finish it, because he's not going to finish them. He's not. And I have to learn to live with it. Same as the rest of the people that like those books. But that's not necessarily a new thing. And today, we'll be going over some instances of unfinished book series.
Ooh.
So get your bags of frozen peas and get ready for some blue balls.
Yeah, you're right. I don't like blue balls either.
No, it's not fun.
Do you know a cure for that? Other than if you lift something heavy.
That's what they say. I think I'm one that talked about that.
I think you did.
In my Nutshot episode.
Mm-hmm. I have yet. I don't get blue balls anymore.
If I have a choice between lifting something heavy and, I think I'm going to pick,
Can't we do both?
Can't we do both?
I mean, technically I am whenever I do that. All right. Well, I'm going to start with one that I didn't find out about until after I watched the movies that were based on the books. So I never read the books, but I did see the movies. Have you heard of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo?
Yes.
All right. In 2009, the Swedish version of the movies of the Millennium Series came out, and I watched them a handful of years after 2009. I can't remember what years, but they'd already been out for a while, and I watched them on Netflix, and I liked them a lot, and I wanted to know more about them, and I wanted to, is there going to be a fourth? I want to see the fourth. So I got on Google, and I learned about the author Stieg Larsson.
Stieg?
Stieg. He's Swedish.
Okay, that makes sense.
I would go into the fascinating story about this man, but then the whole episode would be about him. And I want to focus on unfinished works right now. So I'm not going to go into the fact that he was like a journalist / political activist / just crazy communist or nothing. The part about him I want to talk about is how he died in 2004. He was dead before the books were even published.
Oh, man.
He died after having a heart attack climbing the stairs to work. He was walking up like 4 flights of stairs or 7. I can't remember. So where did that leave the series? Well, since then, since he died, there's been 3 additional books written by a guy named David Lagerkrantz.
Nailed it.
And then another 2 by Karen Smirnoff. And that one is actually it says that a 3rd one will be coming soon. There was a Swedish movie based on the first book by Lagerkrantz, but I've never seen it because if it isn't the original author, in my head, it's pretty much fan fiction.
True, because you don't know how the story's going to play out. They just made up what they think is going to play out.
Well, yeah, because in this case, Larsson had a long-term girlfriend, or common law wife is what she would have been in Texas, but apparently Sweden doesn't really have those kind of laws. Her name was Eva Gabrielsson. Gabrielsson. Again, I'm not Swedish. Since they weren't married and he did not have a will, the rights to his works and everything he had went to his father and his brother. Allegedly, Gabrielsson has an unfinished transcript and some idea of what his actual sequels were going to be for the books. But she isn't giving them up because she would have no rights over it and no control over how it would turn out. So that leaves us with the glorified fan fiction that has been going on in the Millennium Series. I mean, it's kind of crazy. From what I understand, like he had him submitted to publishers already. He knew they were going to be coming out, and he just didn't make it to actually see it happen, which kind of sucks.
Terrible luck.
Now, as I Now, as I have alluded to in the past, I like anime.
Mhm.
And as I don't think I've said before, I also like manga. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's Japanese comics. I wouldn't call myself a weeb or anything like that. I'm just someone who likes the stories that they have. I think Japanese writers do awesome stories. The problem with manga is that you have to be careful getting into a new one because it might get the dreaded axe. And you'll never get a satisfying ending. The author will generally try to rush one out if they even get a chance to. And that's usually, they'll get like 30 chapters out, and that's like one chapter a week in most cases. And then the publisher will be like, nope, boom, and then they'll try to rush an ending out. That was not the case for a manga called Berserk.
That sounds familiar.
Berserk began in 1989, and it was a hit. It's this dark fantasy, and it's about this swordsman named Guts. And he carries this huge ass sword, like just bigger than he is.
Your mother been telling you stories about me again, eh?
And it's not a story for the faint of heart. It is bloody, gory, bleak, and it has no issue at all killing characters. And they never die in nice ways. Ever. If you ever feel like you're just too happy and life's just too bright and you need to be brought down a peg, read or go watch the anime for Berserk. I mean, the anime for Berserk's not that good, but I know for certain I can't get everybody to read it. I know that doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement, but seriously, the characters are awesome. The story's cool. Just the world building is phenomenal. It's really, really good.
Is it a comic? Just a comic?
It was a comic, and there's been animes on it. There's been a couple little anime movies, a few attempts at anime series and stuff. It's just
it sounds familiar.
I don't think it's one you would have watched. It's not like that jacked up one we watched when we were in high school.
I don't think I remember about that one. If we're talking about the right one, she's hiding in a volleyball.
He was.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And anybody who knows anime for the most part has heard of it. It's Legend of the Overfiend. That was Jason's introduction into anime. And it's more hentai than anime.
Yeah, it was something else. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right. Well, the author and illustrator of Berserk, Kentaro Miura, spent decades crafting this fully fleshed out world and one of the most vile yet compelling villains you will ever come across. And then this hero that you cannot help but root for, even whenever he's being an asshole. He's awesome. He kept it up for 32 years.
Wow.
But died suddenly in 2021 from acute aortic dissection.
Damn. Is that a Widowmaker?
I didn't see it called that, but it's when blood is able to get between the layers of the aortic wall after an injury sometimes. And what'll happen is blood will build up and it'll force the layers of the aorta apart.
Damn.
And if it happens, slowly, you could potentially get it treated. You usually have like a bunch of chest pain, you start having some organs that aren't getting enough blood to them, so you start getting sick in different ways. But if it happens pretty fast, you'll end up with an aortic rupture, or if you don't catch it quick enough, you're not getting enough blood to your heart, and it's not getting enough blood out there, and you'll just end up having like cardiac arrest or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like having an oil leak, a really bad oil leak.
Well, he died. So where does that leave his story? Well, now it is being head up by Koji Mori. Allegedly, and I say allegedly because I can't say for sure, Mori is the only person that Miura ever told what the entire story was supposed to be. So he has actually stepped up to finish Berserk. I won't call this one glorified fan fiction like I will the Millennium series, because in all likelihood, Mori is being honest about this. That being said, I'm not reading it and following it the way that I used to. I mean, the art is still good, but I'm afraid of getting too invested. I mean, like, what happens if this guy dies? So now I just kind of half-ass keep up with it with like YouTube recaps and reviews. And then maybe whenever it gets like really close to the last chapter, I'll go back and I'll read everything and get caught up. I mean, I do hope that Mori follows Miura's plan, and one day we'll have this satisfying ending, because this story, like I said, it's been going on since 1989. It's nearly 40 years.
That's incredible to have any show go on that long, and more or less a book.
Well, the shows don't go on that long. All the animes didn't make it past like a season or two because they don't do it justice, and the anime system's a little messed up right now, where it's not getting the level of animation it deserves, because Miura drew like these really just complex like monsters and scenery and stuff like that, and the anime has, for the most part, I won't say every time, but for the most part, has just been a letdown.
I'm just saying that a story that could go on that has progression for 30 years is pretty incredible. But
it's crazy.
It's been around for a while, but there's no progression. It's just one 30-minute story after another.
Frozen in time with Guts. He's hunting down this villain. I'm not going to name him in case people want to go back and get into it. But he's hunting down this villain. It's a revenge story.
Now he ages in it too.
What?
Does he age in this too?
Well,
I mean, there
is some aging, but it's not. It's not. It hasn't been decades in the manga.
Okay.
He had a release schedule that was not the same as everybody else's, where it's like every single week, because his drawings were so complex, and he also had some other health issues. But it's really good. All right. I'm tired of running off the normies. But I don't know if this one's going to help. But the next one I want to touch on is one that I actually have never read myself, but I have heard good things about it. And again, like I usually do, I'm breaking my own topic here, because this one isn't even an unfinished work. But it deserves to be mentioned because the author worked his ass off to make sure that wouldn't be the case. The Wheel of Time is a series of fantasy novels by Robert Jordan. He began the series with a book called The Eye of the World in 1990. He went on to publish 10 more books to the series until 2005. In 2005, Jordan was diagnosed with a terminal heart disease called primary amyloidosis with cardiomyopathy. And from what I could gather about this, trying to read on it, is that's when abnormal proteins built up in his heart. They built up in his heart, and they caused it to start stiffening, which eventually led to heart failure. So it's not a good protein. It's a bad protein. That's a bad protein.
I prefer beef, but protein's protein,
Now, when he got that diagnosis, he made it very clear that he was going to make preparations in case he died.
How old was he?
Don't know. I didn't say.
Oh, okay. You mean he made preparations after he was diagnosed?
Yes, after he was diagnosed. Okay. Yes. Once he got diagnosed, he spent the next 2 years writing and sharing his notes to make sure that the series would be concluded.
Okay.
He died on September 16th, 2007. Brandon Sanderson was chosen to complete the series with 3 books. Using what Jordan already wrote and what he described as very extensive notes, the series was completed in 2013. And what's crazy on this is, since the completion of the series, people began asking about some prequel books and a potential sequel trilogy that the original author had mentioned a couple times just in passing. But the guy that picked up the series, Sanderson, he seems to be just like a good dude, because he said that Jordan left very few notes about those ideas. And trying to add on to the series like that would have been against the wishes of Robert Jordan. Wow. He was like, nope, not doing it.
That's pretty amazing, considering he probably, any other person could have seen money and were like, yeah, I'll do
them. So I would like to take a moment here, though, and George R.R. Martin, get you a guy like Sanderson and put together a fuck ton of notes so we can get a damn conclusion. You know how irritating that was to read those books and then come to that stop and be like, oh, when's Winter's going to come out? And they say it's going to come out in like 2 years. And then, it's about to come out like next year, you mean? The year after that? 4 years? 5 years? Oh, it's just never coming out. Okay.
It's funny. Do you think he has the idea of finishing it, or do you think he has like writer's block?
I think he does. I think the series was based off of his ideas, and everybody hated it. Everybody hated the way that it ended. Now, granted, the writing in it wasn't very good, and so it all came out bad. But I mean, they paced it out terribly, and just it made it all suck. I mean, I get Daenerys going bad, but I mean, the switch was like that. That should have been something that started like seasons before, with build up and build up and build up.
Yeah. I watched that episode, or I watched that series twice. The first time I watched it, I totally agree. It felt like the last season was completely rushed, and the turn. It was no build up to it. It's
the last 3 seasons that suck, not just the last season.
But if you watch it all together and not have a big year gap or 2 year gap in between each episode or each season, it made more sense. It felt better watching it that way than it did spaced out. It didn't feel as rushed.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, Jason. You're wrong.
But I do agree that how they spent too much time on certain things and didn't give enough time for other things.
And then all of a sudden, like all the long journeys throughout all the other seasons, people just start warping all over the map. Like,
yeah, they just get there in a day.
Oh, look, we're in the north. Oh, great. Now we're in the south. What the fuck?
Well, they used to have a whole season of them just walking to the next place.
Well, I mean, it's just so funny. You got all these big confrontations that you really kind of want to pay off on, and then it's like they end up spending like all sorts of time on like Jamie and that guy with the Ironborn. I can't remember. Yeah, but
I know what you're talking about.
I didn't care. All right,
it was all about Jamie.
We're going to go on the next one. After that tale about a man that wanted his story to get to the people, we're going to go to someone that had a bit of a different philosophy. Terry Pratchett, or Sir Terry Pratchett, was an English author known for a series of works called Discworld. Discworld was like this fantasy comedy series that went from 1983 all the way to 2015.
Wow.
He published like 41 novels, and then also had like these related short stories and graphic novels that all tied into this fantasy universe. And what's really crazy about it is Discworld isn't some epic like Lord of the Rings, but it's essentially, from what I can understand, I've never read it, it's like this world building, this exercise in world building that's meant to ridicule and poke fun at fantasy tropes, but also things like just civilization, morality, and other things that he just wanted to laugh at and make fun of. Now, fortunately, the Discworld story as a whole is considered complete. In 2007, Terry Pratchett was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, and he eventually died on March 12th, 2015. In August of 2017, 2 years after his death, his final wish regarding his unfinished works was carried out. His hard drive that contained everything he was working on. Some reports say it had like 2 unfinished novels, along with like countless like notes and outlines and stuff like that. Others say that he has as many as 10 unfinished novels on there.
Damn.
They were
Prince catalog.
the hard drive containing all those was run over by a steamroller at the Great Dorset Steam Fair.
What?
Pratchett wanted his unfinished work to die with him, and it did.
Wow. Didn't see that one coming.
Like I said earlier, Discworld is considered complete, but it is rumored that there was potentially some notes that would have answered some of the unanswered questions from Discworld on that hard drive. So there is the possibility that maybe he wasn't exactly done.
Well, I got a question. When you
Okay.
write a story like that, a big story, do you like to have a nice and tidy ending where the author tells you everything? Or do you like to have it where it's a little bit of wiggle room where you can kind of figure out what they do them for yourself?
If I can get a complete story, I want a complete story.
Okay.
Because the thing with sequels, and what I hate whenever people just always demanding sequels, is that, like, you think about characters that you like. Like, for me, the novel Lonesome Dove. I love Lonesome Dove. I love all the characters in that book. And whenever he did, the author, Larry McMurtry, did the sequel, Streets of Laredo, like, everything went wrong for everybody that I'd loved before, for the most part. So anytime you get an extension of the story, the only way you have that story expanded or lengthened is by things going wrong for the characters you like. And that there's certain times where I like when I like characters and I like that they get a good ending, and that's it. And then you bust out like you look at the sequel series for Star Wars. Fucking hate that shit. The Disney sequels.
The newer
All right,
one with the girl in it?
The end of Return of the Jedi. You've got Leia, Han, Luke, Chewie. Everybody is happy. Lando. Everybody's in a good spot. They beat the Empire. Everything's good. And then Disney decided to make the sequel series. And what do you get? You get the Republic is failing because they got these new Empire wannabe guys coming in and like apparently kicking their ass. You get Han Solo and Leia essentially divorced.
Mm-hmm.
You get Luke being a bum, drinking green titty milk out of an alien.
Some hermit.
Yeah, well, no, he's a bum. But anything happy that you know, like I loved Return of the Jedi. It was my favorite whenever I was a kid. Now, when I got older, Empire was my favorite. But I loved it, and it was a happy ending. Is one that I always loved, and you go with them from beginning to end, and they conquer. Everything's great. And then now you got this garbage ending where everybody's miserable. And none of them have a good death at all.
No.
Luke forces himself to death. I mean, which is retarded. Leia, of course, you know, she had to die because Carrie Fisher died, so she just died. And then Han gets killed by his son for nothing.
For nothing.
I mean, and that was the other thing. God, all right. Every time we do this, every time we get on Star Wars, I go off on these really long tangents. I can't do this.
The Force is strong with him.
One of these
You
days,
do an whole episode on Star Wars.
I will do an episode on Star Wars. You can't just talk about it for a couple minutes. All right, back to Terry Pratchett. His daughter, Rhianna Pratchett, is classified as the custodian of the Discworld series. And she has stated that she has no intention of continuing it. It's done. As far as she's concerned, her dad's work is done. Now, being that I haven't read any of that series, I'm not upset about him doing that. I'm kind of like, oh, cool, that's pretty baller. But if Stephen King had done that while I was reading the Dark Tower series, because he got hit by a car there was a really long gap between the fourth book and fifth book, and he got hit by run over. He got run over by a van in that point. And I'm like, no! So I would have lost my fucking mind if that would have happened back then. Because I'm selfish. I care.
I remember you being into that series real big.
Yeah, I'm still into it. I'm looking. All 7 books are right over there. Well, technically, there's an 8th book in that, but it's more like a novella or short story type thing. But yeah, I got a whole before Stephen King stories stopped being as good. I got all of his old stuff. I mean, I tried hard to keep liking what he was doing, like with The Outsider and Mr. Mercedes and Finders Keepers, End of Watch, all that stuff, and it just wasn't hooking me. Even 11/22/63. I think starting with Under the Dome, things started going downhill. Again, tangent. I will talk about another day.
Ooh, something shiny.
I gotta stop myself. We're already over 30 minutes. I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap this episode up. I will consider myself lucky and blessed that the 2 book series that I really loved, Dark Tower and Harry Potter, that I've waited with bated breath to finish, are both complete and done stories.
Didn't you wait in a bookstore overnight for the last Harry Potter book?
No, I would go to the midnight releases for the Harry Potter books. I will say I enjoyed A Song of Ice and Fire, but I've accepted the only ending that we're ever going to get is that really shitty Game of Thrones finale that people with really low standards on entertainment like Jason can accept. I need to tell you an idea that I have that has something we might do based on me having better taste in movies than you.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right. Well, join us next time when Jason, if he isn't too busy making plans on how to finish my half-written episodes once I die, if he's done with that, maybe he'll tell us some stuff that'll make us say, "Wait, what?"
I will try.
Yeah.
Even though we still have never seen either one of our scripts or how we prepare for a show.
I'm looking. I have 4 half-written episodes.
All right.
that I started writing. I'm like, I'm just not interested in this anymore, and so I stopped. Just kind of
look, some shiny.
Moved on to something else. No, I mean, if I start getting bored while I'm writing it, I don't want to write it anymore. That's how I work.
I get that.
I figured one of these days, if like I was trying to write today and just nothing. And I'm like trying to get an idea, like what do I want to do? And I'm like, okay, how about I start with my rant, which I will do sometimes. I'll think about something that pisses me off. I'll write my rant, and then I will figure out an episode around that.
It's easy to find things that piss you off at our age. Yeah,
that's what I did with this episode. I wanted to bitch about TV shows not finishing, and fucking George R.R. Martin, and then wrote this. So
came out well.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right. Well, bye, everybody.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Wait What? This show's available on YouTube, Good Pods, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. We love to hear from you. Please comment on what you just listened to, pass along episode ideas, or just talk to us at Waywut Podcast in our Facebook group or on TikTok, Instagram, or X. Again, we really appreciate you joining us. Come back again to hear about some stuff that will make you say, "Wait, what?"